At 06:07 on a Saturday morning in the Persian Gulf, 15 Iranian fast attack boats opened fire on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower at the same time. Not one after another, at the same time. RPGs and heavy machine guns from 3 separate angles, a coordinated ambush designed to overwhelm the carrier's immediate defensive reaction before it could organize. 3 rounds struck the Eisenhower's hull. 2 American sailors went down on the flight deck from fragmentation, and somewhere in a fast boat racing back toward Iranian waters, IRGC Commodore Reza Jalali believed he had just changed history. He had, just not the way he planned. Those 2 sailors were the first Iranian attack to draw American blood on a carrier in the modern era. That fact landed in the Eisenhower's Combat Information Center at 06:08, and it landed like a door closing. Not panic, not chaos, something quieter and considerably more dangerous. The kind of focus that arrives when an institution that has been patient for a very long time runs out of patience. Jalali had spent 10 months planning this moment, 10 months studying the Eisenhower's patrol patterns, mapping her escort rotations, identifying the exact window when she would be at maximum proximity to Iranian coastal waters with temporarily reduced destroyer coverage. He had found a real gap, a genuine vulnerability in a specific 30-minute window on Saturday mornings when the escort geometry was at its widest. His boats had trained for the approach, the simultaneous firing run, and the immediate scatter into 3 separate withdrawal corridors aimed at Iranian territorial waters. His calculation was built on one number: 12 minutes. 12 minutes was the floor Jalali had calculated for American weapons authorization and asset response. Get in, fire, and be 12 minutes toward home before anything airborne could legally engage. It was the same logic that had been tried before in this waterway, the same logic that kept failing for the same reason. It assumed the Americans were starting their clock at 06:07. They weren't. Their clock had started at 05:22. That was when the Eisenhower's E-2D Hawkeye, airborne since 0430 on a routine surveillance orbit, logged 15 fast attack boat contacts departing Bandar Lengay on a converging heading toward the carrier's projected position. The Hawkeye doesn't miss things. Its rotating radar dome paints 12,000 square miles of Gulf airspace continuously, and 15 boats moving in coordinated formation toward an American carrier is not something that looks like fishing traffic. The contacts were flagged, classified, and fed into the Eisenhower's Combat Information Center 45 minutes before Jalali's boats fired a single round. The Eisenhower's commanding officer, Captain Dana Holloway, had been notified at 05:26. She had reviewed the track data, identified the approach geometry, and given one order before any other: put the alert fighters at Alert 5. Alert 5 means pilots strapped in, engines cold, ready to launch in 5 minutes or less. 4 FA-18F Super Hornets from Strike Fighter Squadron 2 were pushed to the catapults at 05:40. They were sitting there loaded and ready when Jalali's boats opened fire at 06:07. By 06:13, 6 minutes after the first Iranian round struck the hull, all 4 were airborne. Call signs Venom 1 through 4. Combat loadout: AGM-65 Mavericks, AIM-120 AMRAAMs, enough to address 15 fast attack boats several times over. Jalali's 12-minute window lasted 6. The Hawkeye was already tracking the withdrawal. When Jalali's boats split into their 3 planned corridors at 06:09, scattering toward Iranian waters exactly as rehearsed, the Hawkeye fed all 15 individual track files to the Venom flight in real time. There was no search, there was no hunting, there was only targeting. Venom 1 and 2 took the northern corridor. Venom 3 and 4 split between the central and southern groups. The geometry had been calculated before the aircraft cleared the Eisenhower's bow. The first Maverick strike occurred at 06:19, 12 minutes after the attack. Jalali's 12 minutes, the 12 minutes he had built his entire operation around, was the exact duration between his boats firing and the first one being destroyed.
What followed was not a battle. A battle implies 2 sides with comparable options. What followed was 11 fast attack boats running at maximum throttle toward a border they were not going to reach, tracked continuously by an aircraft they could not see, engaged methodically by weapons they could not outrun. The northern corridor was cleared in 4 minutes, the central corridor in 6. 3 boats from the southern group pushed their engines past their mechanical limits, trying to reach the 12-mile territorial water marker. 2 of them made it, 1 didn't. The Venom flight worked without urgency and without error. Each engagement was recorded by the Hawkeye from above, every firing pass logged, every impact confirmed, every surviving contact handed off to the next aircraft in sequence. By 07:15, 11 of Jalali's 15 boats were either destroyed or dead in the water. That left 4. The destroyer USS Jason Dunham had been vectored to intercept at flank speed from her position 18 nautical miles northeast at 0614. She arrived at the last known position of the 4 surviving boats at 0738, her deck gun manned, her crew at general quarters. The 4 boats had stopped, not because they had surrendered, because they had run out of fuel. 10 months of operational planning and Jalali's southern corridor boats had not carried enough fuel for the extended evasion run the Venom flight had forced on them. The Dunham pulled alongside the lead boat at 0741. Her boarding team was in the water at 0743. What they found on that boat was not expected. Commodore Reza Jalali, the man who had spent 10 months planning the ambush, the man who had identified the gap in the Eisenhower's escort geometry, the man who had trained 15 boat crews for a coordinated attack on an American carrier, sitting on the deck of a vessel that had run out of fuel 3 miles from Iranian territorial waters, surrounded by the Dunham's boarding team, with no options remaining that mathematics would support. He was taken into custody at 0747. 40 minutes after the ambush, the highest-ranking IRGC naval officer captured by American forces in decades. The Eisenhower's intelligence teams began their work immediately. Jalali's knowledge of IRGC fast boat doctrine, patrol patterns, communication protocols, and operational planning processes was comprehensive and current. He had designed the attack himself. He knew everything about how it was built, which meant he knew everything about how the next one would be built. The interrogation was conducted according to international law and produced results that Fifth Fleet analysts described in the classified after-action report as generational. The word they used was generational. His capture was not announced publicly for 72 hours. Iran's state media spent those 72 hours broadcasting a statement about a successful defensive operation against American aggression. They named Jalali twice in the broadcast, describing his leadership of a mission that had demonstrated Iranian resolve in the Persian Gulf. They did not know he was answering questions in a room aboard the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower.
The cost analysis here is different from every previous engagement because the primary cost to Iran was not material. They lost 11 boats. 11 boats can be replaced. What cannot be replaced is the man who spent 10 months building the most sophisticated IRGC fast boat attack ever attempted against an American carrier, now sitting across a table from people who are very good at their jobs, answering questions about everything he knows. America expended 4 Maverick strikes, operational sortie costs, and 1 boarding team insertion. The intelligence return has no published valuation because the classified assessment of what Jalali provided has never been summarized in any open source document. What is publicly known is that IRGC fast boat operations in the northern Persian Gulf decreased by 80% in the 6 months following the engagement. Some absences speak clearly without explanation. The 2 sailors wounded on the Eisenhower's flight deck were treated aboard the ship. Neither required evacuation. Both returned to duty within 48 hours. Their names are in the after-action report and in the memory of every person on that flight deck that Saturday morning. The fragmentation that reached them was the only thing Jalali's operation produced that he had intended to produce. Everything else went wrong in sequence, beginning 45 minutes before his boats fired and ending on the deck of a boat that had run out of fuel 40 minutes after. The Eisenhower continued her patrol, course unchanged, speed unchanged. The hull damage was assessed, photographed, and logged. Cosmetic, the kind of mark a carrier wears without comment. Jalali came to the Persian Gulf with 15 boats, 10 months of preparation, and a theory about 12-minute windows. He left it in American custody 40 minutes later aboard a vessel that had run dry trying to reach a border that the Venom flight was never going to let him cross. The boats he left behind are on the seafloor. The knowledge he carried with him is in a database that will inform American naval operations in this waterway for a generation. Some attacks are answered with missiles. Some are answered with something the attacker never planned for, a boarding team, a set of questions, and 40 minutes of mathematics that only ever had one answer. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and watch this one.